And welcome back to Chalk Talk, everyone. Zebra Nation, hello out there. I'm Adam Petras,
And I'm Hale Henches.
and we are excited to be back with you after a short hiatus. Hale, I can't believe that we're almost through the NFL season. It's as if we were just talking about the Super Bowl a few months back.
Yeah, man, it's gone by fast. What a season it's been. And we certainly have a lot of good football left to be played. But time does fly. You're right.
Yes, it certainly does. Time flies, and certainly 2023 is gone. We've got ourselves a happy new year. And so, yes, happy new year to you. Very excited for us to introduce our guest here today. But before I do that, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus, Hail, from the old Chalk Talk podcast with all of our listeners out there. We do apologize. But one of the main reasons is Hail and I have been grinding. We've got a day job where we're out there on planes, we're in hotels, we're in conferences, trade shows, meetings, dinners, breakfasts, you name it. And so just like many of the Zebra Nation, especially on the sales, but engineering, marketing, you name it, it's everybody's grinding. It's just kind of what we do. But with that, Hale, this is a better time than any to say congratulations. I know you just wrapped up a very busy year in your focus channel account areas, but you are excited to announce that you've taken a new job, and I'm excited to welcome you to the sports and entertainment team. So congratulations, and why don't you tell all our listeners about your new role?
Yeah, thank you, Adam. I really appreciate that. And I'm fortunate to be another member of our North American sports and entertainment team, specifically on the retail team, very focused on hospitality, sports and entertainment accounts. So that's one thing. Along with Adam, right, I'm very focused on growing that sub vertical. And we have a lot of great momentum, great people on our team, and just a lot of really great people who are focused on growing this fast-growing account. So fast-growing vertical. So with that being said, that's going to be my focus this year, and it's something I'm really looking forward to, and helping Adam continue to just grow our presence in sports and entertainment world.
Yes, indeed, and congratulations again, Hale. But let's get right into it. We have got ourselves a super duper guest today, and I guess it was about a year ago this time that we had the opportunity to catch up with Brandon Copeland, and Brandon is back with us. And man, you retired from the NFL in August after 10 seasons and has since jumped into the lead in at least 4 different businesses and philanthropic ventures. Brandon, how do you define retirement?
Yeah, man. Getting bigger bags under your eyes and just chasing around after the kids. Retirement was short-lived, so to speak, and it's been the ride of a lifetime. But as you mentioned, on August 21st, I officially announced my retirement from the NFL, and then 2 days later, I announced, we're building a players association for college athletes called athletes.org. So it's been a grind, it's been a hustle, but fortunately the athletes have embraced us. They are running our organization, they're owners of our organization, and it's been a great transition from football.
That's awesome, man. We love what you're doing. Look forward to hearing more about it. And with that said, certainly, 2 days later after announcing the NFL retirement, you didn't waste any time, rolled up your sleeves. But tell us, how has the adjustment been going from, onto the playing field and team meetings, traveling, watching the diet, to now doing all the things that you're doing?
Yeah, it's been tough. Like every other player that transitions from something that you've done for me 23 years of my life. And I say tough, and I'm a realistic optimist, I should say. And so as Jim Harbaugh and John Harbaugh say, who's got it better than us? Nobody, right? There's nobody that has it better than me. I'm extremely blessed, but the understanding and the evolution of waking up and not having to go to work out, right? Dang, there is no fine if I'm 5 minutes late, and understanding that, hey, for the last pretty much, I guess since school age, college sports, NFL for the past 10 years, my life has been scheduled by somebody else, right? Like a season, off season, win after report, planning vacations with the missus now of 6 months from now, just knowing hey, we'll be free. We can do that, right? So there's just a number of different things. When I say tough, it's like, also just kind of evolving and giving yourself permission to put yourself first, to say no to people, to put guardrails on your life. It's been very, very interesting. And again, I've evolved a lot over the past year, and I'm learning from folks like yourselves. I'm learning from Zebra and how you guys have built an amazing business and are scaling it and operating and putting customer service first. And so again, it's been a whirlwind. It's been a whirlwind, but a beautiful one.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon. And I could certainly think about that as well from a retirement standpoint. Much like yourself, right? I had to adjust and find something new after many, many years of playing football, and it's something that's never easy. I always explain to people who ask, it's kind of like you had your dream job, right? Like what you always dreamed of was playing football from a very young age and taking that as far as you could, and you did. And many people don't get to do that, and so I always relate it to what's my next dream job, right? What is that going to look like? And I got to find that. And certainly you've done a great job of that and pouring your efforts and your time into your different philanthropic organizations and consulting programs and all the great things that you do. You certainly put that energy into something else. And I think a lot of us ex-players with that, and that's why so many of us, I think, kind of spin our wheels a little bit and trying to figure out what that's going to be. So it's great to hear that you're doing well and that you're paving that path. And I know we've all struggled with that in our own way. So that's really great to hear.
Thank you. No, I appreciate it. And I think, one of the best things, because a lot of players have asked me, and also a lot of people have assumed that, because I was doing a lot of things off the field while playing, that it'd just be a smooth, easy transition. But again, if somebody asks you, hey man, you play football? I didn't shrink when I retired, right? If you play football, you're like, nah, man, not anymore, right? Like it hurts. It opens up the wound. And we ended up actually having a couple teams call during the year and told them no. And that was its own process as well too. But what I will say is, waking up every morning, the thing that football gives you is, for some of us, purpose, right? Like it gives you something to wake up and chase after, whether you're a kid chasing, the bright lights and being up on that stage and that platform one day. And I think for all athletes and just people out there in general, right? Like the quicker you can identify your purpose, the quicker you can wake up and feel comfortable that you're chasing after something that matters to you. And, with all the different businesses and things that I go after, I am extremely blessed because these are passions that I've found a way to monetize. And these are passions that I've found a way to help other people with. And again, find yourself purpose as quickly as possible. And a lot of the other things will become easier or simpler.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great that you were able to, kind of start doing a lot of these things while you were still playing and, building your brand, like you said, as a life coach, a financial advisor, all these things that you do. I mean, thankfully, right? Like they always preach to us whenever you're playing. It's like, you got to get stuff set up. You really got to focus on what life is going to look like, the next 40 years and what that's going to be like for you. So thankfully you were able to do that. And I know it's a lifelong process, but that is great to hear. Talk a little bit just about like what some of the most, passionate things that you do that, you can really think that maybe why were you able to find that niche for yourself while you were playing? Who made that obvious to you, or who put that in your head? Had you just always done that? Or, I know whenever we were playing, you had talked a lot about that. And so I had kind of think about, okay, I got to figure out like what I'm going to do after that. What made you think of that? What motivated you?
Yeah, I'll give you a couple of things. So first, there's this guy right here. I'm not sure if folks can view it or not. But, that's my grandfather. His name was Roy Hilton. He played for 11 years in the NFL, 1965 to 1976. We just passed the anniversary of his death 2 days ago in 2019. So 2 days and 4 years ago, January 6, 2019. But, growing up where your hero happens to be an NFL player, happens to not really care about you as an NFL player, cares about you as a grandson and his DNA. Again, that just gave me a cheat code to a lot of things in life, really. And when all of us, we come into the NFL, we're young, we are the strongest we've ever been, we're the best shape we've ever been, we are superhumans in our minds, and we have to be to go out there and compete on Sunday. But when you can see your grandfather, who you can see life goes on after football, and you're going to have to figure out what you want to do beyond it, it always, it's a natural reminder that there's something bigger to be done with your platform, or there's more to life than just how many tackles you can make and how many sacks you can have in a season. Not taking away from the experience on the football field, but he was huge and monumental in a lot of the major decisions I made from the college I decided to go to. He's the one who made me feel comfortable going to Penn. He always said, brain, they can never take that away from you. So, go get the great education. If you're good enough, they'll come find you. And I think you're good enough. And I wouldn't lie to you. He always said, I wouldn't lie to you. Lying to you would be like lying to myself. And what good does that do for any of us? Right. And so that was huge. Having that perspective has been amazing for me. And then I think, we talk about the different things that I chase or the passions. I remember in high school, or really getting recruited to go to high school, and the coach talking to me about the great players that had come before me. These guys, Ambrose Wooden, Victor Abiamiri. Victor ended up playing in the league. These guys, they were greats. They came out of my high school, phenomenal players and phenomenal men. They were great mentors of mine. And I remember I had never met them at the time, and I've considered myself a humble kid, but at that moment, I was like, man, I'm going to be so good, you're going to forget about them. Now, I didn't say that to the coach, but that's what my mind did as just an athlete and a competitor. And I'm like, dang, if that's how I think, how long is my legacy going to last for some tackles? All right, well, I'm going to play football. I love it. I love going out there and hitting people. But if I really want to be remembered, then I'm going to have to do something with a little more ripple effect or impact than just tackle people. How awful would it be if people showed up to my funeral talking about highlights from games as opposed to what I really meant to them? And so that literally was 7th grade for me. And mentally, it was always like, I got to use this platform as a means to an end. And what we really chase after, there's 2 things. One is youth empowerment, youth development, and that's my family foundation, Beyond the Basics Inc. I don't think that I'm special. My wife, she's amazing. I love her to death. We don't think that we're special, right? You see how I framed that one up differently. I'm not going to say I don't think she's special. That get me hurt out here now. All right, this be the last podcast I do. But we don't think we're special. We think that we are extremely ambitious. We work hard, but we've had amazing people in our lives who've showed us things. They've exposed us to great opportunities, great career paths, etc. And then we were able to put the work ethic in behind it to make it happen. We want to do that for as many people as possible. Like I am just fortunate to be in the right place, right time. When my head coach walked past the conference room, and I'm sitting in there just studying, and say, "Hey man, ever interested in a Wall Street internship?" Wow, coach, I never really thought about it. Right? Let's learn some more. And how can I do that for other young people who deserve that opportunity? And then second, obviously being an athlete, and now chasing after this amazing opportunity to change lives with athletes.org. I just want to see more athletes walk away from their sport with more to show for it than memories, right? Like if you can walk away from your sport with some money saved up and a bunch of great memories and some friends and some real lessons that you can drive with you through the rest of life, then that's a beautiful thing. And what athletes.org is doing is helping the next generation of athletes maximize their income, amplify their voice, and we've built a whole platform to give them on-demand support so that we can get the bad actors out of the space. We have free contract review, free background checks for college athletes, free second medical opinion. So we're trying to get rid of the excuse of, oh, I didn't know what perpetuity meant. oh, I didn't know I shouldn't sign over 15 years of my net worth for this advance. We have firms who literally represent the NCAA and represent universities who are giving all college athletes through our platform free contract review.
Nice. Man, fantastic. It's awesome to hear, a person living with purpose, and certainly all that you're doing has bigger, greater purpose, not only for yourself and your family, but for our next generation. And thanks for going back and highlighting, the influence that your grandfather had and his story, and certainly our condolences after 2 years. But it's great that you can continue to talk about him and the influence that he's had on you. And so I want to get into some of the here and now and some of the yesterday. And all of us had the opportunity to see you on Netflix last year with the Buy My House. So we're curious to see, how did some of those real estate endeavors turn out?
Yeah, one, shout out to Buy My House. Shout out to the cast and crew of Buy My House. All of those are great friends and mentors of mine to this day. That was an amazing experience, and the follow-ups with the different homeowners afterwards. I can't remember what we called them on the show. I can't even remember, because it wasn't Sharks and Shark Tank. I have no idea. But the homeowners afterwards, it's been amazing. It's been different iterations for the different businesses. For the different couples and families and stuff like that. But some of them have been great stories, to be blunt, right? Like sales and everything, easy. And others have been, hey, there's a little more behind the veil that we had to uncover, unfortunately. So every home and process was different. But again, that was definitely a special time in my life and career.
Oh, man, no doubt. It was fun to watch. They did a great job. You're right. You had great castmates on the show, but it's interesting to hear kind of behind the scenes what it was like, and then also the fact, like, hey, any of us who buying a house and doing the inspections and the walkthroughs, and then figuring out, well, maybe there's a little more to the story here on this house.
No, it was. You got the height of the real estate market, then you got coming and pitching homes to, a bunch of folks that they've put on this pedestal, right? And so that naturally had its own, the negotiations were set up to be, these were some tough negotiations, right? And so anyway, it was a great time. It was a great conversation. And what a lot of folks don't know is when we shot that, it was maybe 15 days before training camp with the Falcons started.
Wow.
So for me personally, like when we finished up shooting in New Mexico, we ended up, I had like 4 days to report to Falcons training camp. So I was up at like 4 a.m. training, and then go on set for 12 hours, then train afterwards and stuff like that. So my mind was just like all in a jumble. But what I learned in New Mexico is a lot of UFC fighters and stuff are out there. So I did a lot of UFC training that year, which was awesome. I was trying not to get my tail whooped, show up to camp with a black eye. But again, just an amazing experience all around, and again, learn from some amazing, from some great cast members on there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and would definitely encourage everyone to go out and watch that if they haven't seen it. That's really an awesome program. I love some of the things that were highlighted during that, and it's always good. It's very binge worthy. So kudos to you on that. And let's pivot a little bit and talk about Beyond the Basics. That was your first foundation, correct?
Yes, it was. It's my wife and I's family foundation.
Awesome. Well, good deal. Well, can you just talk a little bit about what's growing and changing with that? I think there was a holiday shopping spree that you all did too. Maybe fill in our listeners about that.
Yeah, we just ended 2023 with we call a December to Remember, and this is an event that we started in 2018, so a little over 5 years ago now. I was a football player with the Jets at the time. Took 60 kids shopping for the holidays, got our teammates involved. And, the competitive nature in me and figured out, like, how do we grow this and how do we expand this? And what we did was, the one positive thing about being an NFL journeyman, as they say, you know, they put that journeyman tag on you like it's a negative thing, like you're not in the NFL, but being on all those different teams, I have friends from all over the league. So I decided to just reach out to these different friends and see, hey, would you be willing to do this in your city that same day? Would you be willing to do this? And since then, we've grown. We've almost given away over $1 million over the last 5 years for the holidays for underprivileged and underserved kids. This past year, we just did 11 cities, 10 different states, over 20 NFL players involved along with their teams, and over $100,000 given away to over 500 kids this year. And again, it's been incredible. It's one of the best things that we do, because every time you get there, where I got hooked was the first year. There was a young man who put on a jacket. This was in Jersey City, New Jersey, put on a jacket, and he was with the Covenant Houses, a homeless shelter for teenagers. And he was like, man, I don't have to be cold anymore. And I'm like, whoa. And all of the kids show up because they believe they're completing community service. So like all these folks come here thinking they're doing community service for somebody else, and then we give them all a $200 shopping spree each. And so, you know, this year we took some young people who had just lost parents with an organization down in Texas, and we've taken single parents. We've taken a number of different types of categories of people. Again, it's just phenomenal. And to route this back to your original question, what Beyond the Basics we want to do is we want to help maximize young people's potential by introducing them to experiences and people and opportunities that can help change their trajectory and their exposure. And so the December to Remember event doesn't necessarily fit that mold per se, but what it does do is it's a once in a lifetime experience, and it makes a lot of young people say, hey man, I would love to do this for somebody else one day. And the only ask that we have from all the people involved in the kids is like, we don't want anything else from you, but just try to go put a smile on somebody else's face. You don't have to pay for their toys. Just go ask them how they're doing. And we feel like if we can create this flywheel of good in the world, that, hey, good things are going on, then, you know, we've done.
Absolutely. Oh, and that's amazing, and really a special time of year to do that. And you know, I think a lot of companies, you know, kind of focus during this season of giving too, right, to pour into their communities, right, invest in people, you know, give back, right, do all these things that are really important. And you know, it does seem like from time to time that, you know, corporations do that, you know, from October to a lot going on, right? So can you just talk a little bit about what you all are doing throughout the rest of the year too, to you know, invest into the kids and, you know, give back to the community, like you said, and how do you sustain those programs year round?
Absolutely. So what we typically do is we have our football camp, which is in the summer, and in December to Remember is the way we end the year. And we show up in different places throughout the year. I'll talk about our football camp first. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't shout out Zebra for always just supporting us, rocking with us. You guys have been a partner of ours for, I want to say, almost 4 years now, doing this and consistently supporting through the pandemic and everything, always finding a way to support, because you guys make it a priority to give back to the communities that you guys are in as well too. So again, we don't do this without collaboration. So again, thanks to Zebra. We do our football camp, and our name is Beyond the Basics. We don't want to do anything very, very simple at all, right? And so our football camp is really, the last thing we care about is football. It's really a career exposure and development day. We're in Baltimore, Maryland, which is my hometown. We have things like every kid shows up and they have to submit their transcript before they show up. And the prizes are awarded at the end of the day based off the character that they showed throughout the day. Do you help a teammate up? Do you cheer people on? As well as your grades. And so now, which sounds like, man, that's a lot, right? But now, you know, what happened this year is some little man pulled on my hoodie. It wasn't a hoodie, it was a shirt. You know, it's a little hot in Baltimore in June. And he's like, hey, Mr. Copeland, like, I got all A's and B's this year. Can I get a prize? To be honest with you, I don't know, kid. We don't have so many. We only have so many prizes. But I know that I've won because you come to me thinking that by getting A's and B's, you're going to get a potential prize. And so whether that's a little motivating factor to you throughout the year, I've done my job. Our camp has done its job. And so that means a lot to me. When the kids show up, they also have to submit what career path they're interested in. We have 120 volunteers at our camp alone, 300 participants plus. So now all the volunteers, whether they're in legal, whether they're in marketing, whether they're in education, they have a certain color wristband that matches up with the young people there. So now you have natural interactions and networking, and we create time throughout the camp at rest breaks, get the kids tired, then you want to sit down, you want to take some water, and now allow those volunteers to actually start talking to the kids about what they actually do. Final thing that we've done is we have undercover police officers there. Baltimore and police have had a long history of hey, let's call it what it is, beef, right? Like it is what it is. And one of the things we started doing years ago was having Baltimore City police officers come there plain clothed, and they're just volunteers at the camp. At the end of the camp, I do my little soapbox moment. And I'm like, hey, if you're a police officer, why don't you stand up, raise your hand? And, every single year, kids like, oh, you the whole time, right? Oh, man, it's the feds, right? But they have a new bond, a new relationship, because throughout the day, that's the person who was cheering you on. That's the person who was giving you water when you were tired, who congratulated you when you made a big catch. And now our kids can go from our camp and hopefully start to spur good conversation and new relationships in their communities. And so, again, I love our football camp. I love our shopping spree for the youth. We do other things throughout the year, like feeding people around not only the holidays, but also just in emergency situations. We've given coats to people. We do book bags for school. And now what we're focused on in 2024, now that I have a little more time to focus, we're working on building out our mentorship program and some scholarship programs for some of our participants.
Man, it's fantastic. And it's really cool, that fact that, Brandon, you're creating these opportunities for, the next generation and boys and girls coming up. And certainly I love the example in Baltimore and the Be More there, and with the undercover police officers, and kind of putting that perspective in the mindset that, we're all humans, right? And we're doing different things, and it's about treating people appropriately and not having conceptions. But also, it's one of the things, Hale and I have talked about, and other times around fundraising and charities, is that, you need folks that are able to give some monetary money. You need folks that have the ability to donate toys or used goods. And then you need volunteers. And then you need people that can want to be mentors. And it's like you're creating this subset in this culture where you get a little bit of everything. And it sounds like you've just developed a great team. And can you just kind of tell us about, how you and your wife and your team, how do you bring in and how do you raise that awareness to build a foundation like that?
Well, thank you for shouting out the team. We've been extremely blessed. I think one of the lessons that I've learned years ago, somebody said, hey, man, a lot of people want to do great things. They just need like a vessel to do it through or to do it with. So if you create the blueprint, people are going to show up, especially when they have a great time. And so that's the mindset that we take. We've done a lot of these things with just our friends. Like our board for Beyond the Basics are a lot of my friends from college and teammates from college and some of my wife's friends, but they just happen to be doctors, and one just got sworn in as a senator recently, and lawyers, et cetera. So it's really been a collaborative process and collaborative approach. What I'll say is what we try to do is we try to make an event. It's actually a company value at athletes.org. I call it win-win-win. Everybody wins. Like if you come to our event, I want the participants to win. I want you as a volunteer to win. And I want the organization to win. And when we do that, you have beautiful things come out of it. Like we've had folks leave our camp and get job opportunities because of just the natural networking there. We recently had our first couple from our camp get married They recently got married a couple of weeks ago. They met at our camp on the football field. I'm like, hold on, what were y'all doing? Y'all supposed to be watching kids now. But hey, all power to them. And we now have had kids who participated in our camp who've now come back to volunteer at our camp as well too. And what I'll say, Adam, is what we started doing years ago, not our first year, we weren't ready. Our second year through, what we've tried to do is implement a community service event at the camp, which sounds weird. It's a community service event within a community service event. So the way that worked the first few years was we started this year 2 with 250 book bags, 250 toiletry kits that were dispersed to homeless folks throughout the city of Baltimore, and book bags to young families and people who needed the book bags. We made all of the campers, when you came in, the first thing you did, split up into your groups. You get drafted when you come to our camp, and you compete for time. Who gets it done the quickest, right? And that's the first prize given away. What this teaches, we've eventually got that to 1,000 book bags, 1,000 toiletry kits, big piles at the end of it that just get distributed in their own city. What this teaches young people, though, is like you just mentioned, it's not always about money. Sometimes it's about time. Okay, I can spend my time organizing these things. There is no excuse not to give back, right? And so that's really what the emphasis is. And I think that that's why people come back and love it, love it, love it. Now, one of the challenges I'm working on this year, is out of full disclosure, is I'm trying to figure out how I can get the parents more involved and engaged. So we're working on trying to put together some financial literacy workshops and business workshops just for the parents. And the other caveat, I went to a private high school called Gilman. So we have the admissions offices there, and we've had some campers who've now gotten introduced to Gilman and decided to go as a result of it, right? We're trying to set it up so that other schools can have that opportunity and access as well too. Not that private versus public there's any weight in it. Again, it's just exposure. How can we use this 4 to 6 hours of your life as a way that can create a monumental change in the way you think, the way you operate with people, and hopefully bring good energy to those conversations as a result of seeing the way we operate with each other. And then also really in the framework of your life, whether that be career, exposure to schools and other things.
Wow. No, man, Brandon, it's impressive what you have built, what your team is doing, and of course the impact that you're having on your campers and the people attending your seminars. It's very impressive, and Zebra is very proud to play a small part in what we can do to help you and get the word out. Thrilled that you're on the show today, and you've given our listeners a lot to think about as they certainly go into the new year with New Year resolutions to be better people, how they can have an impact starting with themselves, to their family, to their community, to the next generation. So thanks for sharing all those things. We've got to get to the tail end of our show here, but we need to talk some football. We can't not have a little bit of conversation about some football right now. So we're through the regular season. We're into the playoffs. So just tell our listeners, being a former NFL player, first year out, and you had some opportunities to come back, but you're a busy guy. You got a family life. You got foundations. You got balls in the air. How much football do you watch during the course of the year? And then I got to hear is, do you have any comments you want to give us about the officiating this year?
I always got some comments about officiating. I don't know. They can't find me from here. Right. So in terms of watching football, that's something that we always watch, and even if we're keeping it on in the background, it's really important. I have 2 boys, a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. It's really important that I introduce them to the game in a way that they can love and respect. And to be quite honest with you all, right? Like again, Baltimore kid. I started with the Baltimore Ravens, undrafted free agent 2013. I ended with the Baltimore Ravens 2023. I have lived my dream 10 times over. It doesn't really get too much better than that. If I wouldn't have done that, I probably would be a little more salty, right? I would probably be like, man, we're not watching football. And, they should have signed me, right? So now I can root for them. I can be happy for them, all of that stuff. So again, it's been great. I'm excited. One, healthy Lamar Jackson. I know you didn't ask this for the predictions, but healthy Lamar, more man. I mean, hell, you know, I mean, missing Andrews, missing Mark, which is right. But again, the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, well-coached team, amazing organization as well, too, from like top to bottom. There's no detail or no stone left unturned in that organization. So I'm extremely excited to see what they do. That bye week, I believe they're number one, so they got the bye, right? That's the scary thing. That bye week sometimes can be the little catch 22 for some teams, and hopefully, I mean, Harbaugh knows how to keep them working to avoid any lows. So I hope they come out on top. In terms of officiating, man, I'll tell you, the Lions, you know, I played 3 years with the Lions. For those who don't know, the year before I got there was another controversial call between the Cowboys and the Lions. Brandon Pettigrew was playing tight end at that point and had a controversial call against him, and it hurts to see. It definitely hurts to see. It's a part of the game, though. You know, as much as though that type of call though makes it a little more frustrating. It's a little easier to deal with like a holding, a in-game type of penalty, a bad PI call or something like that. But like you know, I'm eligible call. Oh, that one hurts, and you got to feel it for Detroit. I mean, Detroit, that fan base is phenomenal. That is literally one of the most amazing fan bases in the world, and they deserve a winner. I'm so happy for them right now, and to have that happen, I'm like, oh man, that's a tough one. So
that was tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I certainly, Adam, I don't know about you, but I certainly like the Ravens 49ers matchup potentially in the Super Bowl. I think that could be a very realistic one, and certainly I think the Ravens got the secret sauce to go all the way, and Lamar's really elevated his game, and the defense is playing lights out. So those two teams look hot to me right now, and I think they're the front runners, not just because they're the number one seeds, but they've played well all year.
I would only say, and just because, you know, former teammate of yours, but you know, if you Flacco around, find out. So,
there you go.
It should be exciting. It's going to be an exciting playoffs, and you know, it's funny too, like the officiating and. You know, Brandon, because we do the next gen stats technology through our RFID program, and we got the tag inside the ball, and people are always like, hey, you know, how can you guys help, you know, make the game, the officiating, you know, enhanced or improved? And certainly there's some things that are happening, whereas we like on punts, we can see the ball when it crosses the out of bounds line instead of the arbitrary referee kind of going like, this is where I saw it go out, but we can actually say, well, actually it did go out at the 37.5 yard line versus the 37 yard line. But the human element is always going to be there in the game, and I think that's also what makes football for us. Instant replay is great, and when it's blatant, it should be corrected. But that's Troy Vincent and his team. They'll continue to make some evolution there in the game. But Brandon, can't thank you enough for being on the show today, giving us your time. This was phenomenal. You gave our listeners a lot to listen to. And to reflect upon, but also I think, you know, guys like Hale and I, looking at all that you're doing for the next generation, the busy calendar that you keep, the family man that you are, keep going, man. Keep doing it.
Yes, thank you. Well, again, thank you both for having me. It's always a pleasure to get a chance to sit down and have a conversation with you both. And again, truly, truly appreciate you not only taking the time to highlight good, but also for you and Zebra for backing good as well too, because that does not go unnoticed by me, and especially the kids that we're able to help as a result of it.
Awesome. Good to hear that.
Yeah, thank you for that. All right, Hale, I think it's time for us to sign off. Brandon, thanks again for being on. Zebra Nation, keep working hard, keep grinding, delivering a performance edge. And Hale, I'll see you in a meeting real soon.
Sounds good, Adam. Thanks, Brandon. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
And